Well, we have some good news. While EA has definitely struggled getting the game out today, we have it here. So we will be jumping into a live stream introducing one of these two teams is about to be our next team we are taking over and introduce a coach that we might all just be familiar with. We will hold off a little while here. Let some people jump on into the stream. If you're here, how are you doing? How is your, what even is today? Thursday? Yeah, today is Thursday. How has your Thursday been? And also let me know, while we are waiting for people to come on in, what team you think we're taking over here. Atlanta Falcons, New York Giants. Both teams have some promising young pieces, but also both teams have had their fair share of struggles of late. Hopefully you don't hear too much of adjusting the microphone there. But as we are taking a look around here, just seeing how we are doing, I think it's time that we look to get things rocking and rolling here. So, two different teams. We will be choosing between Atlanta Falcons, as mentioned, New York Giants, and the team that we, in fact, will be taking over are the New York Giants. I was looking for a team, first off, that is NFC, because we just went about 5 or so years with the Jaguars. AFC, we saw a bunch of different AFC teams, wanted NFC, but I also wanted a team that one needed a lot of growth. And the Giants are one of the lowest rated teams here in Madden 26. Now, on top of that, I wanted a team that would see some very large overhaul throughout the series, primarily because with Jacksonville, we had the key pieces at almost every position group. We still had to add a lot of talent, and we had some great guys that we added, but a lot of guys were guys that were already there. I don't have that feeling with the New York Giants that they are going to be a team that has almost every position stacked. On top of that, if I'm not mistaken, they're like the 6th or 5th oldest team in terms of average age on the team. So we are going to have to overhaul this roster. And I don't think we would have had the same kind of series with the Falcons, though, was a team I was definitely taking a look at. A couple other teams I was thinking the Patriots were one. But we are going to be headed to New York. And on top of that, New York, well, they need a new head coach. And I talked about bringing in someone that we may already know, and I'm sure a lot of you do know. And a few eagle-eye people might have even guessed it from the silhouette here on the thumbnail on this video or live stream. But Coach Barry Bearington will be headed to New York, winning 3 national championships with a Stanford Cardinal, turning them from irrelevant into a national powerhouse. I think it's time that we see what he could do at the professional level. Some coaches have struggled to make this adjustment. Will Coach Bearington be one? Well, as we get set up here, it's also time passing by, and time, as typically does, really does not look good for some people. And for Coach Bearington, he got a little bit older. Unfortunately, here in Madden, they don't have the same face scan, so he's going to look a little bit older, a little bit heavier bags under the eyes, but that happens. Can't remember if it was a photo taken of the former Lions offensive coordinator, now over with the Bears as the head coach. He looked drastically different in already the short amount of time. So Coach Bearington, he got hit pretty hard. We'll see how the team does. He's going to come in here as a development wizard. Felt like that was probably the closest thing to what he was doing with the Stanford Cardinal and how he developed them. So starting off, the abilities he's going to have is head of the class. We'll have XP increase for head coach, which is always nice. Team evaluator, scout squad. So we'll have an additional tier 2 scout, which will just help us try to find some of that better talent. Eagle Eye and Air Raid Pistol Play Sheet, which I do think is interesting because we did use a little bit of pistol in the Stanford Cardinal, not necessarily Air Raid, but the offensive playbook and even the defensive playbook That's going to kind of flow in with what players we have and what players we end up bringing in to maybe fill in some of those roles. So the first probably year, 2 years, we're really going to be moving around a whole lot when it comes to that playbook. As for the league settings, all of my series, all Madden, probably very similar to college football. The first few weeks we'll be adjusting the sliders as well whenever Mat 10 gets those kind of set up. Simulation, rocking with the 8 minutes. I think we went up to 9 last year. We will see. I want to make sure we're keeping the episodes quick, but we're also going to be simming a little bit as well. Still going into each game, but we may not play all of each game. We got the Excel clock on. I think most things here kept pretty standard. One thing that is new, I don't know, I did not pass it yet. So the wear and tear as well as progressive fatigue. You only have one of those on. We will be starting with the wear and tear. In games past, I have turned off progressive fatigue. So we'll see how that works. I know with college football, it's been a little bit up and down over the first, month or so. Hopefully, it's not going to cause too much issues, but if it does, we will continue to make adjustments. I think everything else here I have standard. And again, when it comes to the sliders, we'll update those as we move along. But I think it's time that we get to meet the roster. So let's jump on in here and officially start, quote unquote, our series. And first off, I do want to say any injuries that may or may not happen in the preseason games that we'll be streaming both today and tomorrow, those will not be carrying over into the actual start of the franchise, as I want to give EA the weekend for any sort of updates that they're going to be coming out for this game. We already saw how chaotic the release here was for early access with downloading issues. So I'm going to pause up a little bit. We're still going to play these games, but again, when we officially start next Tuesday, it will be a different file, technically, that we'll be starting on. But as mentioned, let's go and meet this team. There are definitely a couple guys I am interested in looking for here. Depth chart, adjust lineup. So we don't just have a roster screen anymore, or did they move said roster screen? Now we're going to have to do a little bit of some digging around here. Team schemes, injury report, adjust lineup code. Okay, so yeah, they definitely moved some things. Interesting. Now it's listed under GM's office. You know, we all know the phrase, don't fix what isn't broken. Something you didn't really have to change. Now we do have a whole lot of QB options here. Wilson, Winston, Dart, and DeVito. I think one of the first couple things I'm going to do here in the actual franchise is probably move on from Winston. Could also look to potentially move on from Wilson. But Jackson Dart, he's the young guy on this team, and I want to start with him at the quarterback spot. Does he truly have what we're looking for the future? As he's coming in a scrambler archetype, though pretty close to the field generals. And we know all this stuff here. Just want to take a look. 88 throw power. Fitted more towards the short route running. Has a little bit of some speed. We all know I do like a scrambling quarterback when the offensive line is not doing well. Comes in as the 47th ranked quarterback. Now, he is just a normal dev, so I think preseason games will definitely help on what he may or may not be able to do for us in the future. But I don't believe he's going to see much playing time this year. That will come down to probably Wilson. Like I said, we'll probably end up moving on from Jameis Winston. We'll probably be close to the trade deadline move, maybe a little bit earlier than that. But the one guy I'm really interested in here on offense, and there are other guys at this spot, but you got Scattaboo here, and I really want to see what he could do out on that field. I even have something pulled up here that we can take a look at. I'm sure most of you know Cam Scattaboo. With the Arizona State Sun Devils, really popped into the atmosphere of football last year. Pulling up his stats, I was kind of surprised. For Football Reference, he only had 2 years. I don't know if he just didn't see any playing time before then. But last year, he had just over 1,700 rushing yards. And he only had 21 rushing touchdowns. Receiving wise, he had 650 more yards, 3 more touchdowns there. In total, 24 touchdowns, over 2,000 passing yards. That would be crazy if he did have passing yards, but over 2,000 yards from scrimmage. He's all over the place, and I do want to see if that can translate here in Madden. He does come in with a hidden dev, 73 overall. He's not the fastest guy, though. 85 speed, but does have good acceleration. The trucking is at a good spot to start. Stiff arm isn't too bad with high break tackle. He even has some hands, so he could even be a guy you get some screens out to. And when a corner or safety steps down to him, just try to run him over. He should be an interesting guy with high stamina, high injury. We'll definitely look to get him into the starting 2 rotation here. So for Devin Singletary, I think he's another guy that potentially we could look to move off from. There is Eric Gray, but right now the starter heading into the year looks to be Tyrone Tracy Jr., the second-year prospect here out of Purdue, I believe it said. Definitely longer loading screens is the first thing I am noticing here in the new Madden. 6'1", 210, 25 years old indeed in his second year out of Purdue. An elusive back with star dev, 90 speed, 91 excel, but has, I believe that was 6 or 7 lower break tackle than Scattaboo. Carrying those at a good spot. Catching is lower, so we might see Cam coming in as our third down back then. Trucking's low, stiff arms is low. He has some decent change of direction, good juke move. Spin move is kind of lacking. So I think we could definitely fold in Scattaboo a whole lot here. We'll see how he plays when we get into that first preseason game. And I'm sure a lot of people want to talk about Neighbors. From LSU, it's kind of been wide receiver U for the last, 4-5 years? He is a superstar here, 87 overall. And we will, when we draft players or when we unlock abilities, we'll definitely go through and we will edit those to make it match the play style of those players. But Neighbors is going to be one of those key guys that we have here for the future, but will require a hefty load of money in about 2-3 years into the series. But it's going to come with a lot of talent. 96 speed. He's got really good route running across the board. Release is a little bit low. That is something we're definitely going to need to work on. I don't think with that speed, without having that release, he's going to be that quick down the field threat here for us. I think we could definitely develop that into his game. He does have some good injury, some after the catch ability as well with high change of direction. He'll definitely, I think, be a front runner for that gadget position that is new here, college football as well as in Madden. But a very, very good young receiver. But there is a lot of question following Neighbors. You got Wan'Dale Robinson, 91 speed. You have Darius Slayton on the older side. Jalen Hyatt, a guy that came out of college football with a lot of promise. However, in his first year, really didn't see too much of it. So we'll see if he's able to really grab a hold here. I mean, he's going to be stepping into his third year, normal dev, barely above a 70. He has some solid route runnings, nothing spectacular, doesn't have that release. Catching traffic is low. So is he a slot guy? I think it's a position that we do have to potentially try him at. Or perhaps he's just that third guy that comes in playing on the outside only and moves someone down to the slot. We have a lot of players here we definitely need to turn around, basically. Slayton and Zach Pascal, he's probably going to be, those two are going to be one of the first guys to leave. Humphrey will probably be another one. There's really not a lot of promising young depth on this team at receiver. You have Hyatt, you have Neighbors, maybe Robinson. And as for Robinson, does he provide a little bit more catch in traffic? These load screens are definitely a whole lot longer than they were in the previous Maddens. No release whatsoever from Robinson. So he will have to play in the slot. And that might just open up some play for Hyatt on the outside if we play young this year and try to see if we can develop him or look to potentially find a new receiver in the offseason via trade or maybe even in the draft. That is one thing we will definitely check as well. What are our draft selections? We don't have a 3. We got 2 6s, no 7. So we really don't have anything extra. In fact, we're maybe missing a piece. I don't think we could get a 3rd for Winston. Maybe a 4th or a 5th round pick for a quarterback needy team a few weeks into the season, especially if an injury does crop up. We should keep an eye on that. But, oh, okay, well, that apparently don't hit B. That sends you straight out of what you were looking at. Makes sense. As for tight ends, Theo Johnson, 2nd-year guy out of Penn State. We got a 4th-year guy in Daniel Bellinger. Mannertz, another guy that's probably going to need to be replaced with Dulcich behind. A young guy here in Thomas Fiden? I don't know. I'm going to have to check in on the Nebraska draftee here at tight end. We were tight end heavy with the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll be the same here with the Giants. 6'5", 243, 22 years old. Normal dev. Has some solid speed. Catching isn't awful. It's not the best. Route running is pretty raw, but he is not much of a run blocker whatsoever. So this looks to be a little bit more of a spread tight end here who has massive injury concerns. I don't think that's someone we could rely on. We saw how anything around those 80s or below was really a troublesome spot when it came to Maxwell Sexton with the Jacksonville Jaguars. So not promising here for the Cornhusker. But as for Johnson, does have some good speed to him. Get hands, not the best, at least pure catching, 79, but does have some better catch in traffic. Route running is definitely fitted for underneath. And we are going to see okay run blocking. The best, however, is the oldest, the 11-year vet from... Honestly, I've never even heard of that college before. So we might have some work to do at tight ends. But I do love drafting a tight end. As for the offensive line, you have Andrew Thomas, but you are paying hefty for the 88 overall. Moving inside, John Runyon, an older guy here, 28 years old, 75 overall. He's a candidate for someone who probably should be replaced within 1 or 2 seasons. 6'4", 307, does have star dev, so that might keep him from regressing early. But I don't think this guy should be playing guard. He looks to be more of a tackle with no run blocking skills. Yeah, I don't like the look of that. If we're more of a passing team, not awful, but we need to be able to run that ball, especially with Scadaboo in the backfield. Don't really have an option behind. In fact, the whole left guard situation needs to be overhauled here with the Giants. Down the middle, you got 71 overall at 26 years old, John Michael Schmitz Jr. Another candidacy for a large bit of overhaul here. We were pretty lucky with Jacksonville. We had a couple decent guys out the gate. Normal dev here for the Minnesota Golden Gopher, who does have more promising run blocking. Strength at the 84, not very fast. He could honestly be someone that maybe you move out to guard and see if he can kind of catch his groove there. In his 3rd year, you got to figure out if this is someone for the future. And I think that would probably be the best option for the future. So perhaps maybe we make a change at center. We also are going to need an entirely new right guard situation as well. So the interior of this offensive line does look to need an overhaul. A 35-year-old, but a solid overall. I believe that said 75, 76 with Greg Van Rotten. See if he even makes it through the year. Pretty balanced. A little bit low, though, on the pass block finesse. Injury, a little bit low as well, sub 90, but hopefully he'll be able to stay healthy because we don't have backups, especially on this team. As the final spot, right tackle, you do have Illuminor. I feel like I heard he retired. I don't know if it was last year, maybe he came back for this year, but I definitely feel like there was a retirement. We do have Evan Neal, who is on a roster, 24 years old, believe it's set around 74. Normal dev, and it's a contract season for him. And he's pure run blocking. On the right side makes a little bit more sense. So the sides kind of balance, but the left guard and right guard really are never going to be helping each other. It's the center that has to help. He could be a candidate to potentially move down to center this year. I don't know if he has a background playing any center as a tackle, probably not. So we may need to perhaps bring in some guys, see if there are any surprise cuts after the preseason, and see if we could find something a little bit more promising down the middle. Again, Schmitz can maybe move over to guard, where we have Runyon, who might need to be replaced, and well as Van Rotten, who could look to be replaced. Both guys could potentially be someone that you trade, bringing in someone young and maybe a late draft pick. All options we have here. Let's get to the defense now, where we have Abdul Carter, who struggled to find a number to actually wear in this offseason, but he's coming in 81 overall as a rookie. So there are a couple very promising young guys here. Hidden Dev, and potentially he could be our Trayvon Walker of this series. He's got good speed. He's a balanced player, nothing necessarily standing out, and I think it's that balancedness to his game that has him at the 81. But he's going to have to decide, is he going to be finesse, power, a little bit more of a run stopper? All are possibilities. Injury, slight concern with an 87. But if we mold him well, I think he could be very similar to Trayvon Walker for us, with that speed, a little bit of strength. Probably leaning towards a 4-2-5 defense here. It's really the modern defense. You're going to play a whole lot of spread wide, and you're going to need 3 different guys at corner / the extra safety to help fill in. As for the depth here at edge, I think it could be a spot that we very much see some overhaul. Right edge, you do have Brian Burns. On top of that, you have Kayvon Thibodeau. So we have plenty of edge rushers. And none of these guys really seem to be of size to be able to slide down and play some DT. Of course, you do have Dexter Lawrence. So this defense is going to have to carry this offense into the future. We do need to find a second DT, which is where a 3-4 defense might fit a little bit better for us. But again, none are really the size of a left or right end or a 3-tech in the 3-4 instance. But Brian Burns, 27 years old. Take a look at him, see if he really stands out much here from Thibodeau. But as we get, just let that settle a little bit. How are we doing, everyone? Is the stream looking good? Are you guys excited for the Giants here? And were you able to download Madden if you were one of the ones that bought the early access? Because I know I struggled to find it the last few days. It did not let me download it until about 3.5 hours ago. But we're here, barely. Loco224, welcome in. He's always been a part of the chat. Appreciate that. In fact, let's throw a little bit of a 100 there for you. But Brian Burns, he is pure finesse moves. Strength, sub 80, so he's definitely not one that could potentially play some 3-tech. But he's definitely got the speed. Injury, not too bad. Stamina a little bit low. Might just have to have some heavy rotation here to get all these pass rushers involved. Because I do want to make sure we have Thibodeau out there. Want to see if we could develop him, as he really hasn't developed much. Heading into his 4th year here, he's a 77 overall, but holding on to that star dev. And he's going to come in with more of that power block shedding focus. So perhaps it could be a thing that we just have to play towards our opponent. And if the tackle or guard that they're going to be lining up against the most is more of a finesse blocker, then we play the power guy, and vice versa. Or again, we just see some heavy rotation. Thibodeau could also potentially be a solid guy to put on the trade market and see if we could land a key piece for the future. Talked about the offensive line needing help. Thibodeau might be able to land us a solid interior lineman for the future. Just taking a look here at the stream. Jeff Torberg, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I am doing pretty well. Honestly, a little tired. So we're going to see how the games go. First impressions on this, haven't jumped into any games yet. The biggest thing I've noticed, and that I'm sure we're all noticing here as we look to get into just individual screens, you have to wait a little while. So for my instance, where I'm trying to, get through to these recordings, it's going to add a little bit of time on my end, but that's a very small price to pay if the gameplay itself is really good, which fingers crossed again, we'll be jumping in and we'll be getting into a game to see how that goes. Dexter Lawrence, he's going to have to hold down this defense. I mean, he's got the play, pass rush. He's got the run stop. Speed isn't too bad for what is he coming in at? 342. I've been looking to find a guy in the 340s. And we're going to have Lawrence for at least, I'd imagine, 4, maybe 5 years here. See, what kind of contract is he under at this point? I don't remember what his last extension was. So we have him locked down right now for 3 years. That'll bring him to, he's what, 30, maybe 31. And at that point, we might be able to get him on some cheaper 1-2 year deals. See if we can retire him a New York Giant. But yeah, Jeff, those are awful loading screens. We complained in the past about how slow some of the transitions were between screens, but honestly, for just looking through the roster, it was far better before. Hopefully that's something they do clean up again. This is early access, and as I mentioned earlier, I'll mention again, this will not be the file that we officially start the franchise on. I want to give them the weekend for any sort of updates, but hopefully they clean up the transition screens. As for young DT options, you do have Elijah Chapman from SMU, going to be heading into his second year, but a 70 overall. Those are going to be some slow burns, especially not seeing a whole lot of early playing time. He looks to be more of the size, though. It says nose tackle, but he looks more like a 3-tech to me. With that size, 82 speed as well. Yeah, he's 100% a 3-tech. And I don't know how this guy holds his weight in real life, but you're telling me a 278 guy looks like that? Dexter Lawrence looked a little bit fitter, so I don't know. That might just be Madden being a little bit rude here to Chapman. But there is some promise to his game. There's a little bit of block shedding there, a little bit of power moves. Injury, sub 90. We'll see how that limits. Stamina is pretty low. I would like to see more rotation in general this year for sure. I want to see a little bit more action. We saw the same guys game in, game out, and they made big plays for us, but I want to have a different experience here in Madden 26. We don't have a single Sam linebacker. I think we have to add somebody. On an extended roster, we don't have a single Sam. Okay. But speaking of Stanford and Coach Barry Bearington coming in here to be our head coach, how about the Stanford man, Bobby Okereke? I was watching then, I think before he was even a part of the Stanford Cardinal. Star Dev heading into his 7th season, going to be 29 years old. We might have 2-3 years here with Okereke. I think he could potentially be our Foye Oluokun of this series. Good speed, good tackling, block shedding a little bit low. He's very much a cover backer. With 70 catching, we could use with some turnovers coming from our Mike linebacker. As for other options, we do have Darius Masau. Correct me in the comments if you know how to pronounce that one. There's always the fun part of starting these new series is learning new names. There's a couple guys that I already know. I'm going to have to double check here on this roster. But the UCLA Bruin, 24 years old, normal dev. Would like a little bit better dev. Speed isn't bad. Block shedding is horrific. And no cover skills. Awareness is also low. Play rec is low. So he's an semi-decent athlete. And that's about it. He has good catching. So if he happens to find himself in the right spot at the right time, he might get a turnover. I would love for him, though, to prove me wrong because, again, we need some depth here at linebacker. At Mike alone, 3 of our 4 guys are 28. And honestly, we're probably going to be cutting the 28 guy here. 62 overall. We might even be cutting Ty Summers and filling in with some UDFAs or guys who just didn't make the 53 mans. We do have Micah McFadden, 25 years old. Again, no one else here really at will. So we have 2 linebackers, one good, one potentially promising here with Micah McFadden, normal dev in his contract year as well. 6'2", 232 out of Indiana. We got a Hoosier here. He has a little bit more block shedding. So he'll definitely be in the base packages, but we don't have a good second cover man. So we might need to have a little help from the safeties, perhaps, or just see if one of these young guys can develop that. Getting to the corners, though, another Stanford man, Paulson Adebo. Not going to lie, I was really hoping the Vikings would have signed him. But we'll get to play with him instead. 6'1", 192, star dev, 82 overall. Yeah, I was just checking the age there. Does have at least a fairly decent blend of zone to man, but definitely favoring that zone. Good press, love to see that. Solid enough speed there, 91 with Excel 91. Play Rex at a good spot. Tackling isn't bad either at a 67. Catching might be able to get us some turnovers. And injury, considering he's coming off a big injury, I'm glad that it is at 91 there. Not a bad guy. I wouldn't compare him to Tyson Campbell from the Jaguars series, but maybe more of like a Jerrion Jones. I don't think we have a Campbell on this roster, but a solid guy to start with. And we have a young guy here in Drew Phillips. In fact, this seems to be the one position group that we have some more promising young guys at and might not see as much overhaul, which kind of helps out. We could focus on other positions. Drew Phillips, star dev, just under 80 overall. He has 3 seasons under contract with us, and he's balanced. 81 for both man and zone, though the press is going to be a little bit lower. Tackling isn't bad. Speed and excel, good enough. Good jumping. Might not pick the ball off that much, though, with 59 catching. Awareness isn't awful. It's not great either. Injury, 89. Not a bad guy. I think maybe Jerrion Jones is kind of in between those two. Got Cordell Float here as well, another 24-year-old, 76 overall. Those are really long load screens. Now, final contract year for him. Another star dev, pure zone coverage guy. This is a kind of player that every time I see it, that might just because I like some good press mans, a good prime Xavier Rhodes. That's my guy. But Float, he looks to me like more of a free safety, or your over-the-top safety, your guy that goes sideline to sideline, not your box safety. And potentially, that could get him a future contract. Depends on what we have here on roster. As for Deonte Banks, we'll wrap out with him here for the cornerback group. And we're going to see a whole lot of a spinning football this year. Out of Maryland, 3rd year, another star dev. So a lot of potential here. And we're going to need Coach Bearington to pull that potential out of these guys. The 75 overall, and he can't cover. 71 for the zone. What about him has him at 75 overall? Catching really isn't anything great. Awareness is nothing great. He could jump, and he's fast. And he has some press ability, but after you get by the press, he can't cover you. So we have 3 corners, and we have a wannabe corner here. And if that's what a 75 looks like, I'm a little bit, honestly, scared of even looking at what these other guys can do. So instead of wasting our time going through those menus, anything promising here? Well, you have Corey Black, the Oklahoma State cornerback, who is very much not his last name. He has pure zone, does actually have a little bit of man, so he's actually not that bad. He's good enough to sit through a spinning ball load screen. And hopefully he makes that work. That is not what he looked like. We all saw the player photo. Madden, you were 100% wrong on that one. I'm sorry. But 6 foot, 192. It's a good size there. 23 years old, a little bit older for the rook. Normal dev. but he at least has that balance. He's not going to have the press. He's not going to tackle. He might not know where the ball is either with 62 awareness and 61 play rec. But if a receiver runs at him in his zone, he may be able to make a play. And that may or may not be a little bit more promising than the previous corner we looked at. So we'll see how these guys play out on the field. But as for the over-the-top safety, well, we got Javon Holland. And I don't think even moving any of those corners could rival what we have here unless he needs to move over to strong. He's under a new contract here as well with his 5th year out of Oregon. Another star dev for us in the secondary. Good speed. Does have both zone and man, which is what I look for more here with the strong safeties. Tackling, though, is a little bit low. Hit power, 82. Injuries at a good spot. 79 catching. You should be able to pick half. Pick half? I don't even have a Boston accent, but apparently it kind of slipped in there. You might be able to pick off a pass or two. Pursuit angle looks good. Play rec could be a little bit better. I think he's someone that definitely could play some box safety role for us. And if we do run a 4-2-5, depending on how Madden has it set, whether it's a third corner or a third safety, Holland might be able to fit that role there for us and then bring out another safety. We do have Tyler Nubin, 2nd year out of Minnesota, and Dane Belton, 4th year out of Iowa. Start here with Nubin. Does look like there is some potential to definitely move some of these guys around, though, in the secondary. Good size, though, for Nubin, 6'2", 210. Just on the older side, but star dev, just like everyone else seems to be. He's a free safety that doesn't have free safety speed. So already I'm thinking of switching these safeties, because if you don't have man, you're not playing strong for me, because I'm putting you in the box and you're going to be manning up against tight ends, running backs out of the backfield, occasionally the slot receiver. So yeah, definitely going to have to make some movement there. And also, if it's so easy to go out of that screen to this screen, why does it take so much longer to go into that screen? I think that's the real question we got to ask here. Dane Belton, 4th year, normal dev, 73, and he just can't really cover. He's got good injury. He might be able to pick off a ball. Does have better play recognition. Awareness isn't awful either, similar. He's another over-the-top guy, but he's a backup there as well. So, yeah, we got to flip these safeties around, and even then, I do think perhaps if we do find a corner that could help fill in, perhaps someone like Drew Phillips, as mentioned, could... Was it Phillips? Or was it... No, it was not Phillips. It was Float. Float could switch over to free safety. But I think this year, first year, unless we really want to give Corey Black an opportunity, which, if he plays well in preseason games, we just might. I think Float does have to stay at corner and be our slot guy. Might even be our backup safety just in general. But before we round out taking a look at the roster, we do have one more player that we really are going to see, which is going to be the kicker. Punters, hopefully we don't see. This year, though, we might. Graham Gano, 38 years old and still kicking. Pun intended. As we wait for another load screen here. 16, now playing his 17th year. I should have learned how to kick. But he has okay accuracy, but he's still got a pretty strong leg. 96 power with 75 speed. That was pretty close to Jeff Polk, and he had some rushing touchdowns. I don't know if they have a kicker fake running option, but if so, we might just have to test that out. With 86 injury, he could take a hit. Might be the only hit, but he might be able to take it. 38 years old. But yeah, that is the roster. I think, as mentioned at the top and why I chose to take over this team, you have a lot of old guys here. And we're going to have to replace a lot of depth on this team. We're going to have to replace a lot of starters. But that is a good list of guys, 30-plus years old. There are some options for young possibilities, even at quarterback. Jackson Dart, we will see some of him today. But I think on offense, Scadaboo was one of the main guys I'm looking at. Nabers as well, or Nabbers as well. Offensive line, going to have to see a heavy rotation, a heavy overturn And then we have a very strong defensive line. We should have a really good front seven. The corners, the safeties, that is going to be a little bit of a work in progress. We're going to have to try to develop this group and move around some safeties, but all in all, I'm not too upset with where the roster is at. I think it will be playable, and we'll definitely see some heavy changing around. Now, not going to go too much into the storylines, the trainer talk, all of that here today, because that's going to be a little bit more for the actual episodes where I can cut through some stuff. But I definitely want to make sure we are getting into a preseason game, and I don't want to drag this on too long. We will just be going through the one. But one new thing this year is loadouts. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I kind of prefer a more simpler get into the game rather than having to do so much outside. But as it stands right now, run stop play sheet, sure. We do have an insider trading. Pretty sure that's illegal. Ground guardians and sideline to sideline here. So a little bit of something. We'll kind of play with this and learn this a little bit more as we go. But for the most part, I just want to get on into a game here. So we'll confirm and continue on. Focus players. Abdul Carter, I don't really feel like needs that. So if anything, again, not going to affect how we do going into the actual franchise. But as for guys that I'm going to be focusing in on, I think Jackson Dart, Scattaboo, and potentially one of these corners. How about we give it to good old Corey Black? I think we already have ourselves a channel icon for this series. Though he's not going to look like himself there out on that field. Just remember 25. Full pads? Yep, why not? And we're going to just simulate on through training there. Hopefully no injuries, especially to Corey Black. I want to see him out on that field. But who are you guys excited for? As we are about to head into our first game here, just checking through injuries. So far, so good. And we should be perfectly healthy, at least on offense. Defensive-wise, a little bit of guys with some wear and tear for sure, but no big injuries. Okay. We're good to then head on in, because I really just want to skip all of those things. So let's just play the full game here. Your roster does not mean the minimum for Sam. Yep, I forgot about that. So in that case, we're going to have to move some guys around here just to be able to jump into the first game. As for Sam, that's going to be your strong side linebacker. I don't know if we really have a strong side linebacker on this team. But in terms of guys who might be able to get that job done, we do have some 73 strength here for Deontay Johnson out of Toledo, a rival for Kent State. I don't know how I feel about that. It should be fun to bulldoze with Sexy Dexy. Well, hopefully we see a whole lot of bulldozing happening. Also, bulldozing on offense with Scattaboo. I don't know. Maybe Dexy can show him a thing or two. But as for Johnson here, just so we could jump into a game, we're going to switch him from weak side linebacker over to strong side linebacker. And maybe for him, that'll open up playing time. But really, I just want to get out onto the field here and see how this plays. Now, we are playing in Buffalo. I don't think we're going to have a heavy snow game at this time of the year, but that would be pretty fun. Take two here of jumping in. And we actually can here. Let's see. Do we got any fun uniforms here with the Giants? I know they have some throwbacks. But obviously, they're a pretty plain and simple group. Honestly, I think the throwbacks are probably one of my favorite ones here with them. That's just about it. Ooh, we do have a little bit of... I don't remember what year this was supposed to resemble. Was it the 60s or 70s? Got the 2020s Color Rush. A little bit of some alternate 80s classic. Looks mostly just like the current throwback. So how about we rock with the current alternate classics. And then as for the Bills, do they have the red helmet? Are you going to show me a player? Okay, well, we already found our first bug here. Try it again. No idea. Okay. Well, we are going to just see what they end up wearing, but we're going to give them alternate everything here and call that good. All right, let's jump into our first game here. And with that, let's also take me off the screen just in time. Highmark Stadium. Though it doesn't look like they have the new Buffalo Bills Stadium in the game. Obviously, that is not done yet, so probably will be the next Madden. But I am interested to see the intros here. I watched the Vikings one. Looked great. Bills here so far, very standard entry. But we are into our first game here. Madden 26. And Gano with the kick. This one angling a little bit off to the side. Now, I did stick with the classic kick meter, so we'll see if we do decide to change that. I might just jump into a practice or something, see what the other one looks like. But this is a good test out the gate here. See what our defense can do. With a 3-receiver set here. Obviously, we got a lot to learn here with this new team. Playbook might change. And if it does, it will be a custom playbook. As they go some play action, throw is downfield and caught. Not sure we tapped down more whatsoever on that, but the ref blows the whistle. That I will take. 4 wide here. And I like how we're making the Buffalo Bills wear some white unis. I was hoping it was going to be their reds. Unfortunately, not the case, as Burns will get the sack. Taking down Allen for a loss of 10. He heard a lot of conversation about perhaps getting Thibodeau out on that field, and he said, how about play 2? I'll show you why you shouldn't put me on that bench or potentially trade me. And in the battle of red and blue, he makes the big play here. First big play of the series, technically. As we got McFadden and Okereke, the linebackers here in the nickel. A little bit of some play action. Quick throw outside. That's going to be Cook. Not sitting out here. He's got the first down, picking up 21. That's really going to rely a lot on the linebackers. Make sure if they're like Okereke here covering the flat that he actually does cover the flat. But right now the Bills going to work up front, opening up that rushing lane. Almost another gain of 20 there for Cook. So far you could argue he's cooking. Got cooked, yeah, Jeff. Got cooked for sure. And it looked like most of the team's DBs are going to be fitted more towards zone, so we will call more zone out the gate here. Throw across the middle, and right now, Josh Allen is just diming us up. 53 yards so far, opening up this game. Elijah Moore, 33 of those 50 some odd. And it's been pretty much all over, so we can't really say he's been picking on a certain position or area of this defense. Dumping this one down, Kincaid with a good tackle there. 22, is that Float or Phillips? I believe that was Phillips. As it stands right now, they do have Float playing the outside, Phillips playing the slot. Cook going to be tackled in the backfield there, about a loss of maybe 2. Make it 3rd and 10. Giants trying to bow up. Of course, here down inside the 15. Got to be aware of Allen scrambling that ball. Cook also on a run down the middle. I wouldn't put it past them either. Throw across the middle is open. And the 3rd and 10 is a touchdown for number 10. And it appears that the Game Pass issue is still an issue here in Madden. We don't want to see that popping up. I'll look to see if there's a way to turn that off this year. It was hit or miss in Madden 25 on whether you could get that turned off or not. Was hoping we were past that, apparently not. That'll just add a little bit more editing from my side. But Buffalo takes the lead here. Offense drives down the field, but against a defense rated sub 80 overall, I would expect that the Bills do march a little bit easier, especially on all Madden. So nothing too shenanigan-y out the gate, and Scattaboo on the return. He's going to cut to the left-hand side, but cannot escape with that 85 speed. And Russell Wilson taking the field with the New York Giants. I don't know if I ever thought that would be the case. But we're going to start pretty plain and simple here. There's been a lot of talk about poor run games in college football. Does Madden have the same issue? As we get the offensive line set up here, Ed Oliver to the left of our center. Going to run right at him. And Tracy with space has the first down. Play one looked pretty good to me. Might be biased. But considering how poor the interior of this offensive line is, I'll take that run. Especially to the left side where we really didn't have any sort of run blocking ability with that guard. Now play action, throwing, lofting this one, and dropping it into the tight end Johnson. Not too bad. And it didn't fly too much there. That's a problem that there is in college football, is that pretty much every pass seems to be a high pass. Tracy bounces outside here, but stuffed behind the line. I wish that I knew how to edit the software. I don't. Otherwise, who knows? Maybe I would make that. What was that football game came out about, 5 years ago? Kind of supposed to be the college football replacement, but it was just very gimmicky. As a moon ball here, looking for Robinson, and he has it. Johnson playing the receiver rather than the ball, and Wan'Dale Robinson using that speed to get underneath it. That does seem a little gimmicky to me. That should not have been a completed pass. But hey, we will take it for sure. As we are close to the end zone. Halfback ISO. I should have put in Scataboo here. But we do have 4 quarters of play. I formation here. Tracy has the gap as he follows Van Rotten. And we tie this game up so far. Very early. Can't say too much. But just initial reaction is offense is going to dominate. Defense hasn't really done much so far. And that's for both sides. But game tied up here, 7 apiece, as a whole lot of extra touchdown cutscenes here. Honestly, I would like them to balance in between what we just had there and what we have in college football, which is essentially nothing. Now, this looks to be like some home field advantage or something for the Buffalo Bills. But squeaking it in is Gano. If you struggle kicking field goals in college football, now there's just a whole other level of toughness you're going to have here in Madden. But I do like that. Kickers, sometimes on the road, Blair Walsh it. Simply put. As Bill's looking for a good return down the left sideline, will be taken down at the 29. Obviously, I've talked a little bit about my impressions so far. What about you guys? Have you noticed anything? If you've been able to download it or even just watching some streams, anything you notice out the gate that you think needs to be changed? McFadden spun out. Burns comes in to clean it up. Cook dropped for a loss of 7. And we already got a surrender Cobra. Oh, she even went into extreme surrender Cobra there. Hopefully we'll see a whole lot more of that. As we continue on here, it is 2nd and 17, back of the 22. They look to go right back to the same play. McFadden this time, clean tackle in the open field. Cook losing about 4 more. And that has Coach Bearington with a very advantageous 3rd down here. Going to bring out a Stanford word for him. 3rd and 21, back at the 18. You got a 3-man front here. The defense very clearly backing off. Cook going to motion out, make this an empty set. Allen, lone in the backfield. As he's got time, looking to step up and run. Okereke rocks him, and Banks scoops it up. Giants will take over, plus side, I want to say inside the 25. Banks recovers, and we just hit stick Josh Allen with the Stanford man as the new former Stanford head coach is your new head coach on the opposite side of the United States. That was probably a long plane flight. But we are set up here exactly at the 25 as the nose of the ball touches the line. Two spread either side. Honestly, would love Robinson here. See what they give us. Kind of take that away, but open across the middle. Missing Neighbors. Johnson that time. A little bit of some extraness after the play. We'll let that settle for now with a 2nd and 10 inside a minute to go here in the first quarter. And it looks to be a handoff here. Tracy taken down by the left tackle. Only picking up 1 in the process. Looks like Bishop, though, will get credit for that tackle. Bringing up a 3rd and 9 here. You want to at least get the first down. Don't want to come away with just a field goal with a turnover forced inside the red zone, but it looks to be a long field goal attempt. Russo with the sack. And with about 18 seconds to go here, we'll see if we could get this one off in time. Yes. Field goal good. Giants take the lead as the first quarter comes to an end. Now, one thing I did notice just watching a stream earlier today, there's supposed to be some breakdown in the middle, someone talking. It's very quiet. I've turned down a lot of volumes of things to make sure it's YouTube and streaming friendly. So we may not hear much of that, but honestly, when it comes to video production on my side, I am perfectly okay with that. As we were running over Josh Allen, their first quarter does come to a close. As we look to get the second quarter underway, we've got a 3-point lead. And we should start to see a little bit of some rotation as well. Start to see some of the younger guys and some of the older backups that will probably end up needing to be replaced sooner rather than later. Thibodeau missed the tackle. Not a good look on special teams. And it is White stepping out here for the Bills. So Josh Allen, one time we really get to see him out there, coughs up that ball, though he did have the good first drive. But now we can take a look here at our second team. Dimukeji, Robertson Harris, Thibodeau playing some 3-tech. And White with a little bit of some read option, he picks up 1. Now that could be something we could look to do with Jackson Dart this year. Is just have him kind of play a little bit of some package role if we want. Obviously, Russell Wilson, a former scrambler, though at this point of his career, not sure how too much of that he's going to be doing. White throws downfield, and it is caught at the sideline. Coleman with a great grab. Plays like that, though, you really want to make sure you're not giving up the catch. 3rd and 2. As they motion out the running back here, might be an orbit screen perhaps. White dancing around, gets outside the DT and fires a first down to number 1, Samuel. That is unfortunate. That's where we need the defensive line to make sure we're getting tackles. And if it was Thibodeau perhaps playing on the outside rather than a nose tackle 3-tech, maybe he would. Golston there with the tackle, just a gain of 2. So already it seems like even Madden doesn't really like the backup DTs. If they're going to put Thibodeau in as a rush DT, Robertson Harris also on the older side, definitely will look to get some of these younger guys out there. White checks down, and getting the tackle is Johnson. Would have preferred knockaway, but it sets up 3rd and 3 under center here. 2 tight ends to the right as they pop up for the pass. And they've got it for another first down, just about short of the 30-yard line. Is that Dawson Knox? We used him a little bit in the Jacksonville Jaguars series. I think it was only for about a year. But I do like myself a Dawson Knox. Fantasy guys, he's been a fun one. I think I had him, and it might have been Kincaid his rookie year. That was real fun. White with another check down here, but Coleman will take the easy grab, picking up 6. Going to try to be a little aggressive here with the play calling, especially in preseason. See what these guys can do, see how the man coverage holds up, and if we can get much of any sort of pass rush as they find their running back out of the backfield. Johnson not able to get out there quick enough. Davis sets them up at the 11. Right now, it's just been the defenses today going backwards outside the scramble from Josh Allen. Okereke forced the fumble. He's out here with a 1st and 10. Johnson bounces off that big hit, but then bounces off another defender and to the ground. I'm sure we'll give Okereke a assisted tackle on that one, as we are just about at the 5-yard line. Motion from right to left, as they will pop up looking for a pass. White trying to field that pocket. He escapes the pocket, getting outside before he throws away. And that was a great play from the AI there, or the computer, whatever you prefer to call it here, whatever they are using. One, to avoid the sack, and then also avoid the tackles, and when he had time, throw that one away to avoid lost yardage, and then find Knox for a game go-ahead touchdown. That's some really good play from quarterback 2, Dawson Knox. Gives the Bills the lead yet again. And still, I feel like my prognosis earlier is on par. A lot of offense, not a whole lot of defense so far. Has anyone else experienced that? Just pretty much defense not doing anything out there, maybe some tackles after the catch. I don't think we've even had a knockaway yet. But about a 5-minute drive there has us with about 3:03 left in this one, at least in the first half. 14-10, and we've got Washington set back to return with Scadaboo dancing around in front of him. Washington had a lane, but the kicker with a clean tackle. And we are going to have Jameis Winston come on out here. We'll leave the second half for Dart. We'll start at the 36 following a good return, and Singletary the back for now. Again, we'll see if he could do anything, because I'm already on the edge of potentially cutting or trading him if he does have any trade value. Now, screens have definitely been a problem in the last couple of years. College football a little bit hit or miss. Can we actually set up some clean screens here? Getting this one outside, it's to Singletary as he busted to the outside, and that looks to be a forced animation. Singletary halfway through his spin, spins back into the tackler, but hey, we'll pick up the first down there as he's already injured. Now, good news is, talked about that this is just a prequel almost to the actual franchise save file, so any injuries that do or do not happen will not take place in the actual save file. That means other injuries could happen. Scadaboo, though, he's outside. He's rumbling with the extension there at the end. He gets down to the 32, and for Singletary, it's a hip bursitis. I'm perfectly fine seeing a whole lot more of Scadaboo. The 85 speed did not look bad whatsoever there, getting to the outside. As we go through the 2-minute warning here, Winston trying to once again put the Giants in front. It's an empty set with trips to the left, Hyatt and Ford Wheaton to the right. And he will look outside for Hyatt, but misses him entirely. Not a good look there from Winston, who had maybe one good season and then since then has been essentially non-existent. Bellinger in motion, the fullback here. As Singletary returns, he looks to get this one outside. Spin move that time works until Milano catches him up from behind. Down to the 16. Hey, man bun. That's like my lookalike if I was blonde. Sometimes it's in a man bun. Sometimes I leave it down, you know. It all depends on the day. Now Hyatt. And we find you this time. Winston. No, but let's instead go with the zig inside. Ford Wheaton with the grab. He has 4. And that'll keep the time moving down here as well. Don't want the Bills to have too much time to try to answer. No down lineman on the right side interior. That's where they look to run, but Singletary cuts back left side and down about the 5-yard line. However, looking to go hurry up here is Winston, as he's got Pascal over the left-hand side. What does he have here? Jet sweep action. Well, Milanos. And Coach Bearington calls his first timeout here in the NFL. Saving a little bit of time to try to find that end zone. We are down by 4. We got 33 seconds inside the 10 with a second and goal. 2 to left-hand side plus the tight end. Singletary in the backfield. Wide open and hitting Hyatt for the touchdown. For a man that doesn't have too much release, he sure released off the coverage there at the line. Jalen Hyatt with a burst of speed gets the gap and has the touchdown to put New York back in front here in a battle of New York. Who's your favorite New York team? And frankly, I don't think the Jets should be considered New York. I think they should be the New Jersey Jets. That's a bold statement, but I'm going to rock with it here. As we look to time that one up, no block, but they got a little bit of pressure. Flag is also down with a late hit on our kicker. You can't be hitting Gano like that. We will, though, go ahead and decline Michael Hoach, I believe is how that is pronounced. You'll get bailed out on this one. Graham Gano looks to kick this one off, leaving Josh Allen. Going to be sub 30 seconds as they will look to return this one. Thibodeau this time has a clean tackle. It'll be at the 24 with 27 seconds, and it's actually, I think I said Josh Allen. It's not Allen, it's White. And White had a very strong first drive out there. We will see if they go to the air at all. Lining up with a two-spread look. Knox over on the right-hand side. And it's going to be a quarterback run right off the snap. Sliding down, but he might have been able to hit that corner. And his eyes looked pure black there for a second. Kind of looked a little demonic, but got some color there at the end. 22 seconds after the Bills call a timeout. They bring motion. Trying to set up an orbit screen here perhaps to the receiver. No, downfield, and Knox still able to hold on. I believe that was Belton in coverage. We haven't knocked away a pass yet. It's been free go for the offenses. 17 seconds, one timeout. White looking for somewhere to go, and he finds Knox getting out of bounds at the 46. If I were the Bills, you do really one or two things here. You hand that ball off down the middle, get in a field goal range, call that final timeout and tie this game. Or you take a shot towards the end zone. They motion their receiver all the way across. What is this, the Arena Football League? He is gone as Robertson Harris plants White in the backfield, looking to close out the quarter here, but timeout is called. They want one more play. And frankly, with how bad the last one is, I don't know if they should. But I expect everyone to be going deep downfield. But we're going to bring a little bit of a blitz here. Banks coming off the edge. They pick it up quickly. Coleman with one to beat, cannot escape. And the Bills, they will run out of time. 17-14 is your first half of play. And early diagnosis stays true, I feel like. Right now, we are seeing far more from the offenses than we are from the defenses. I don't think the Bills have done much to break up a pass. We haven't been able to break up a pass. We have, however, gotten a couple sacks. That is good to see. But I would like to see the secondary do a little bit more. We are, however, down into around the 70 to 65 overalls with these backups coming in. So we'll see if that does look to improve at all. Do have a good breakdown here of stats at halftime. Are we going to get any updates around the league here? I would like to see some highlights. I saw some crazy ones on a stream earlier, but no. No updates here during the spring game. So straight into the second half, as we should start to see a couple new players like Scattaboo. He does not break that tackle, though. Gets a return to the 25. Jameis going to be in this screen, but we will start to switch out a couple of players. Get a better look at some of these young guys. So let's bring in Jackson Dart for one. I want to see what the young guy can do. Scattaboo, I want to be the main guy. See a little bit of gray in rotation. Now, Scattaboo already has a fair amount of wear and tear, but impact has nothing. As for receivers, there really wasn't anyone extremely on the younger side that I wanted to take a look at. So it's really just going to be the Hyatt show here. I want to see what he can do. As for these younger tight ends, I want to get Bellinger out there. Cannot start because he is the fullback. So actually, let's instead put Dulcich there for now. At fullback, let's get Manhurts there. And then bringing on back here, Bellinger. Then where's that young guy we were taking a look at earlier who could not run block? Wasn't Theo. There it is. Fidon? I don't know. Get on up there. We want to see you out on the field. Offensive line, the starters are even suspects, so we're not going to worry too much there. Is Thibodeau... Okay, he is here at right edge, so that is good. Should see a little bit of Golston, a little bit of Dimukeji. DT-wise, I would like to see some younger guys out there. So, Darius Alexander, head on out. And Chapman, we talked about you earlier. Want to get those two out there. Linebacker-wise, there really isn't, again, a lot of options for younger options. Say options there twice. Keep the corners as it is. Safeties, we could probably keep them as it is. Third down back. Get Scataboo as the main one. Gadget guy. Well, for now, I don't want to... Well, I guess it doesn't actually matter if anyone gets injured. Neighbors, head on in there. Power back. Scataboo. It's all about the Scataboo right now. Dimukeji, Golston. Now, it's Golston here, but Thibodeau's been playing on the inside. Let them continue to rock with it. But I do want to see those younger guys out here at DT still. They'll get Chapman out there as well. And I think that's all the rotation we're going to do here for the second half. By all means, do let me know if there's players you want to see. Leave it in the comments below. And even if we don't get to them today, we might get to them tomorrow, because we will be back for the next game, maybe 2 games tomorrow. A Scataboo here with wide open running lanes. He's got another first down in, dragging defenders. A big one. The man rocking 44. I know he wore 4, so 44 does make sense. I don't know. It just seems weird. Maybe in future seasons we change it and he keeps that for his rookie year, because you'd have to buy all the printed jerseys already. And I don't think Scataboo has that kind of money yet. Well, the 1st and 10, play action here. Let's see what Dart can do. Looking downfield, Hyatt with speed, but he can't catch up to that one. DeMar Hamlin gets the pick. He's headed down the sideline until Bellinger can bring him down at the 41. Dart's first throw, slightly overthrown and picked. Not exactly how you want to start, but I just noticed there he had the Guardian cap on in the cutscene. Did he have that out there on the field as well? Yeah, he did. I didn't even notice it. So very seamless mixing in. I like that. I don't think college football has that. I don't know if it's legal in college football either. But that could be a nice little fold in that they could bring. The 1st and 10, White back in offense with pressure. Golston with an awkward sack. He basically just pushed the legs out from under White as he does his little walk. Celebrating that sack loss of 7. Tyler Dunaway, welcome in. Yo, this is awesome. I mean, it's been fun so far. If you are a person, and the NFL is very much this type of person, that loves offense, so far this game is entirely for you. Outside of that interception that we just threw, there's a pass breakup. That is the first one we have had. And it took a long time. Now, White a little bit shaken up here. He got rocked as he released that throw. So a 3rd and 17. And they're going to come out with an empty set here. We're going to spread out this defensive line. Bunch to the right, trying to get some more pressure here. Passes downfield, one-on-one. And you might argue for defensive pass interference, but Hawkins, he played it clean according to the referees. Now, that seemed to be a little bit more of an offensive player trying to play it like it was a penalty, which is fun because that definitely happens in real life. I feel like a lot of defensive holding calls on corners and safeties are actually receivers holding onto the hands of DBs. I see it all the time in highlights, but I like it. That's a little sense of realism there, and we finally saw the defense get a stop here. Well, we got Tyler coming back here. Is this the team you're going with for franchise, bro? You should have way more subs. Hope one day we see you there. Hey, if they decide to join on in, by all means, But right now, we're just having fun playing the game. And yes, this will be the team we are going to start our franchise with. I mentioned earlier that this will not be the franchise save that we will be going into when we do officially start next Tuesday, which we'll talk a little bit about at the end, because we are going to change up the schedule heading forward, as baseball is going to see a little bit of a remix here on the channel. Scattaboo loses some yards there. But we're going to essentially give EA the weekend. So if they want to update some things, which I'm hoping they do, we'll have a better save file, basically, to start the actual franchise. As Dart has no time to throw, pressure right down the middle, 4th and 12. We're going to have to punt that ball. But yeah, definitely hoping that they do have some updates, and we'll get started with that on Tuesday and Thursday. But we are going to rock with the Giants. I was thinking Falcons as well. The big reason that I chose the Giants is they have, I think, tied the lowest overall for a team in this game. And on top of that, they have the, I think, 5th or 6th highest average age in the NFL right now for all the teams. So that means we should see some heavy turnover on this roster. And after the Jacksonville Jaguars series, good tackle on the outside, Belton. I wanted to make sure that we do have a heavy say in what the roster is going to look like into the future, because with the Jaguars, we essentially had a starter at almost every position group. Technically, we had Trevor Lawrence, and while he could run great, he just couldn't pass the ball to save his life. So that was really the only position we didn't have a starter. Dawson Knox shaking Thibodeau in coverage and gets wide open. Good track back speed, though, from Thibodeau to recover. But a massive, massive play given up there to the Bills, and another one for White. And honestly made me forget what we were talking about. I'm sure it'll click in a moment. Pass across the middle. Coleman bounces off and fights forward, picking up about 3 or 4 more. That has them down to the 23. So once again, not seeing much here. When it comes to defense, decent run stop there. Belton not able to get the solo tackle, but slows him down for company to arrive. Davis taken down just with a gain of 1. We were talking about young guys, yeah. With Jacksonville, we had so many key guys. Now, the Giants definitely do have key guys. Don't get me wrong. Neighbors, Dexter Lawrence. Hopefully, Thibodeau could develop into that. If not, he's definitely a trade candidate. We do have Brian Burns as well. Bobby Okereke at linebacker. But there's still a lot of overhaul. Mostly backups, probably season 1. A couple key spot starters. Lane with a good tackle there forces 4th and 1. And another surrender Cobra. Gotta love to see it. A half Cobra behind. But definitely a lot that Coach Bearington will be able to do. That's another thing if you missed it at the beginning. Coach Bearington has moved on from Stanford and has taken over head coach here of the New York Giants. Tyler, you are talking there a little bit about Cha-Cha Vaz. He is going to be sticking around. He's not going anywhere. And I guess we could go ahead and talk about this while we're in this game. The series with Cha-Cha Vaz and the road to the show as we know it is over. Plain and simple. We have jumped around a couple different teams, and it just seems like the game is stuck in a loop right now where it doesn't matter how Cha-Cha plays. Right now, he's 4th in all-star voting, number 1 in the league when it comes to stolen bases. And at the end of the last episode, if you were there for it, he had another meeting with a manager with the Rockies and basically was told your play this year is disappointing. And it just seems to be the same cycle over and over again. So what I have planned with that series, and I don't want to spoil too much of it, as Scattaboo here on the screen, close to the first down. Dart finally completes a pass as well. Yeah, don't want to spoil too much of what the plan is, but essentially, Cha-Cha Vaz will be moving over to a franchise. We will be taking over a team, and he will be a player I'm going to add to that team. 3rd and 2 here. Fake the jet sweep, and Scattaboo can't escape the pressure around the edge. Brought down at the line. 4th and 2. But this is preseason. And if you're not going for it, I don't know what you're doing here. I tried to back out of that screen, accidentally hit A. So we're going to call a timeout. That might cost us here late in a tie ball game against the Bills 17-17. Hey, Tyler, you were reading my mind. That's what I like to hear. But yeah, I think that is the best way to keep Cha-Cha alive, basically, is to bring him in. And really the whole plan with the Road to the Show series was just to learn MLB The Show, because I hadn't played that game in probably 10, 15 years. So it was good for that aspect, but I think it's time to start building a team. Get Cha-Cha in the mix as Dart gets into the mix here, gets that speed outside. He doesn't have a spin move. He just got dumped at the 41, but a massive gain there, and is why I think we might be able to mix him into some read options or RPOs just in general. But yeah, so Cha-Cha will continue, but that will be going down to 1 episode per week, at least for right now. As we run out of time here in the 3rd, 4th quarter has arrived in our first preseason game, 17-17 in the Battle of New York, Bills versus Giants. And it has been an offensive showcase. Now, one thing I was also toying with when it came to MLB The Show, and for those who have been around the channel for a while, you might have forgot about this guy, but hopefully just saying the name kind of brings him back. Throwing this one, it's tipped away. Good play there from 8. But we had a storyline where back in, Madden 24? Maybe 23. We did a superstar mode with Bronson Moreau. And while he won a Super Bowl, only played, I think, 3 years in the league before retiring because the Seahawks refused to put an offensive line in front of him, I considered having him be our Road to the Show player and having his journey continue from retiring from the NFL and going back to Major League Baseball, where he technically started that series as a transfer because he wasn't moving up in the leagues at all. Finding Ford Wheaton here, it's a 1st down. Good throw cross body as well from Dart. Honestly, he hasn't seemed bad out there. But I think perhaps that could be another thing we could look to do. I mean, Bronson Moreau was a pitcher turned quarterback. Maybe we even bring him in as a closer, just as a nod. Doesn't even have to be on our own team, but just as something we could look to do. Tight end downfield. Bellinger couldn't find it. I don't think that one was entirely on Dart. Gotta hope your guy could run under that. Maybe you need to be a little bit more outside. Tyler saying, consider the Royals. Royals, I mean, it's a possibility. I will be honest, I already have the team in mind, pure real-life storyline base. And I will say it is not the Royals. But it's a team that has done some drastic things this year. And I'll leave it as that. Tyler coming in again here. I like that idea. That has been done before. Someone else has brought in Bronson Moreau? But yeah, just kind of toying around with things and trying to bring in channel legends. Ford Wheaton. What a snag for the 1st down. For a wide receiver group that definitely has some questions on the depth, that's a great play. But in the same step as Bronson Moreau. Ooh, we got Jeff coming in here. Guardians, not the Guardians. Yeah, in the same step as bringing back someone like Bronson Moreau and keeping Cha-Cha in a good stiff arm there, Scattaboo. One thing I am considering, it's not going to be for any of the players we draft in this series, but I will put them in according to where I think the players would be drafted, is taking some of the guys from the last year of the Stanford Cardinals series, as their story ended there, basically. and having them be some players in this series and just changing the names of some drafted guys. Just so that way some people keep in line here. Tyler, you're talking about pro football guys switching to baseball later. Yeah, that has definitely happened a couple times. Was it Bo Jackson? You had Dion. I don't know how long Dion played. I just remember that he did. Scattaboo, I mean, that play was dead from the snap, already a penalty. Though it was on the defense, encroachment. Well, that's why they got the tackle so easily. Maxwell Hairston. We'll take that. Want to get Scattaboo in the end zone here. But yeah, so I think that's something we could definitely do is try to bring in some guys from that Stanford series, putting them on other teams, or if we draft the guy that would be equivalent, I would be totally up for changing their name. So someone like Nathan Henderson, the first left or right end drafted in this first draft class, I think would be someone who would switch over because he won the Heisman. And you would imagine that he would then be the main guy to get drafted, but he did suffer, I think it might have been an ACL tear or something. It was a big injury at the end. So perhaps maybe that had him fall down the board. But things like that I definitely am considering. I'll get your guys' opinion on that before we do it, and that'll be in an off season where we are going to live stream the off seasons as well for both college football and for Madden. That might change days perhaps on when we have those. So moving forward, the typical Monday through Friday might move around a little bit when we just have to include those live streams because I want to make sure everyone is very much a part of the series. Bellinger with the touchdown with 3:16 to go here in the fourth quarter. Dart tosses a perfect ball outside, and we have the go-ahead score. But our defense hasn't played too well today, so we'll see if they could hold on to it. Scattaboo does not get the touchdown as we air it outside. And there really isn't a skip function here, which I guess for me, accidentally skipping through some celebrations, making sure it's in there and I can edit it out if I want. I guess that's a good enough option. So into the future, so maybe not like this first off season, but second off season. First, maybe second quarterback selected could be Justin Sorensen. Maybe like a fifth, maybe fourth round guy, a power back, could be Joe Wesovich in the first off season. So just some options. If there are guys you would like to see as well added, by all means, let me know in the comments of these videos and keep them in mind as well for when we do get to the off season. So that way we just do continue on a little bit of the legacy of some of these players. I think that's fun. That's why I've typically brought in former players for like head coaching jobs, like with the Jacksonville Jaguars with Coach Madison Boston. He was a fun guy. The Panthers series, first down on the outside. Mike White, he's been playing clean out there. He finds Samuel at the 38. Now they have just about 3 minutes here to try to tie this game, and we might just have a little bit of some extra football here if they do, or see if Dart can complete the comeback. As they look to go back to the air, passes outside and caught at the sideline. Float there, not tight enough in coverage, though. Do have to say we've ran the same style play over and over again, if not the same play over and over again. The first and 10, they hand this one off. Spinning by and shaking off another. Johnson dragging down Davis at the 28. Well inside field goal range, but they need a touchdown to tie this game. Once again, our defense still not doing anything impressive. I will say Belton, though, at least making a name for himself. He's made a few tackles. Pass across the middle. That time is jarred free. It's Banks. Second and 10. 2:03 to go here. Provides both teams a little bit of a breather as well. Trips out to the left-hand side. They're going to have motion. Left slot all the way to the outside. Double team on Thibodeau down the middle and go with that zig throw for a short gain, taking us through the break here. 1:59 to go. Bills inside the 25. They need a touchdown to tie this game. Mike White has performed very well out there. Been a threat both on the ground and through the air. Looks to set up the slant here and caught first down, Samuel. Once again, Belton there to get a tackle. Rather, Belton get a pass breakup. As they come out here, heavy tight end look to get the stretch to the outside. Davis, stiff arm, and chopped down on the outside. Gain of 5 as we're inside 1.5 minutes to go. Now, we did have to call a timeout earlier this second half. So we only have 2 more. Bills, however, they have 3. Pass across the middle. Dawson Knox with yet another touchdown. And that will leave the Giants and Jackson Dart a little over a minute to try to at least get into field goal range for Gano and his 96 kick power to take the lead. Everyone right now, leave it in the comments. Are we going to find the comeback here? Does Jackson Dart lead us exactly where we need to go? And Tyler, I appreciate the lurking for sure. 24-24, 102 as we got kickoff set here. See if we get a decent return. Scattaboo. He's gotten close a couple times to breaking one of these. Lane, though, closes as he gets to the 28. So 58 seconds is your official time on the clock here. Jackson Dart has missed more passes than I think he's hit so far. But is this when he's come to shine? He's got some speed as well. We don't have to pass that ball. We could scramble. We just need probably about the opposite 40 to call it safe. Check down here. That's going to be Ford Wheaton's spin off of one and just gets absolutely flattened. Now, it flashed there quick, so probably didn't get too good of a look at it, but it's about the 41 where we need for Gano. Quick throw is outside. Hyatt can't stay in bounds, but he does have the first down at the 42. And yeah, Madden still has the glitch where it's telling us the line that we need to get to for field goal range. It's on the opposite side of the field. So as we snap this ball here, throw, trying to squeeze it in. It's broken up to Hyatt. Mar Hamlin, another big play, had a pick earlier. Perhaps that one a little bit more forced. Could have went somewhere else or just scrambled down the middle. Now Scattaboo here, this route, if you go back to the Panthers franchise, Chuba Hubbard absolutely was fantastic on these. Nothing quite opening up here. Dart looks to scramble. He's got a pair of blockers downfield, and the zoom out there, I'm not against. Actually quite like that. It lets you read the field a whole lot better. Now Scattaboo's looking a little tired out there, but we know he'll fight through. He'll get sick on the sideline and come right back on out. As Dart, once again, nowhere to go, takes the hit from behind, and that clock will look to roll a little bit here. Calling a timeout with 1 second to spare, Coach Bearington. That was closer than I wanted that to be, but we get it. 24-24, and Gano with a 47-yarder to try to win this game in Buffalo, and it's the Buffalo Bills that are trying to ice Gano. Does he have the ice in his veins here? 47-yarder left hash. Boogity, 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 boys. That one's looking wide right. We've got overtime. Gano misses wildly. I didn't think we were that far off. Well, I think we just basically Blair Walshed it. That's fun. This is actually preseason, no extra play. Well, 24-24. But considering the level of talent we were playing against, I don't think it's all too awful there. We will go and break down the stats here before we bring this one to a close. And if you have any remaining questions about this roster, plans for this series, do let me know in that comment section. And of course, I will also talk a little bit about the new schedule moving forward here as well. But we will wrap up there and jump into the view from the main screen here. Skill points, archetype, yep. Malik Neighbors, again, not going to actually affect things, so we'll just jump through that rather quickly. We all know how the upgrades work. But let's take a look there at the game. I just like this menu a little bit better, to be honest. But jumping in here, 24-24. We scored 10 in the first. Didn't score any there in the third. The defense gave it up there late, and we missed the field goal to win the game. I think that's a good preseason game. Josh Allen, a 140 rating despite having that fumble, is what it is. Winston had a touchdown, 131 rating. Mike White, 130. Wilson, 109. Dart down here at a 63.8. Again, I don't think Dart was bad, but he didn't hit on some of those throws. 58% complete. I think, honestly, right now, it would probably be Wilson the starter. We didn't get to see a whole lot from him, but Wilson the starter, Dart the backup, and Winston could easily be moved on. Running the ball, Dart leads all players in this team on just 3 carries, 53 yards. And that's, again, why I want him to potentially have some formations. Scattaboo, he averaged 4 yards a carry. That's all you need from your power back. Ray Davis, he looks a lot older than a second-year player. Maybe Kentucky does that to you, but 36 yards on 5. He had 7.2. Again, defense, not looking all too promising. Singletary, only had a few carries. He found some yardage on it. Tracy didn't look honestly too bad out there. I think Tracy and Scattaboo will be a fine backfield. As for receiving, Dawson Knox, as he always does against me, goes off. Wan'Dale Robinson had the big catch that probably shouldn't have been, and that was it. As for the rest of our guys, I mean, Bryce Ford Wheaton, he did look promising out there. Third-year player out of West Virginia. Really got to go down the list here. We didn't find too many of our guys, to be honest. Jalen Hyatt, only 2 grabs for him. Wish this tracked targets, though. That would be nice to see. Will Madden ever give it to us, or EA? Who knows? As for Alec Anderson, he didn't give up any sacks. Who did give up sacks was Illuminor for us. And again, I could have sworn I saw that he retired. I'm going to have to double check that once we're done here. Defensive-wise, we are honestly really just focused on ourselves. Dane Belton did lead us in tackles with 9. Float had 8. Typically don't like my corners in the top 3 here of tackles. Tackles for a loss. Brian Burns, he did look promising. Got that 2 tackles for a loss and 1 for a sack. Golson and Robertson Harris. I always want to say Robertson Day. Robertson Harris gets 1. We had quite a few tackles for a loss. There was some promise from the defense, but overall, just defense didn't really seem to do too much. Bobby Okereke with that forced fumble, scooped up by Deonte Banks. And then, of course, when it comes to kicking, 50% on those field goals, Graham Gano. But that is where we will start to wrap up some things here. Again, if you do have any last-minute questions, let me know. We could jump over and watch or check some things before we close out. But I will bring myself back on up here. Talked about it in that game. We are going to be changing up the schedule starting next week. College football will continue Monday and Friday. If I don't get the Cha-Cha series set up in time, we might have college football Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with 2 games left in the regular season and us right now in play for potentially the conference championship. We should be well on our way. I think if we get one more win, maybe might even already be there, but we're close to also being bowl eligible. So if we have 3 or even 2 games, then we should be on a pretty good schedule for our first offseason as well, which will be coming up soon. And I'm hoping we could raise that star rating so we could get some better recruits. Though we are going to look heavily for transfer portal guys as long as they are interested in heading to Kent, Ohio. But college football will be Monday and Friday for the standard week. NFL Madden will be taking over Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's more of a viewership standpoint thing. Madden, Jaguars, we're getting a lot more views than Cha-Cha, but I think it's just the reason that I am changing Cha-Cha. I became very same almost every time. So hopefully changing things up, that'll see the viewership rise. And we'll be playing little bits and pieces of the MLB series. We won't be playing every game for sure. Long season. We'll be simming a lot of games, probably jumping in a lot of got to play the moments, a little bit of some player focus. So our first game might focus a little bit on Cha-Cha taking over. I have an interesting storyline there, but that'll be on Wednesdays. So Monday, Friday, college football, Tuesday, Thursday, Madden, and Wednesday for right now will be Major League Baseball. And if things perhaps change in the future, again, I will let you all know. But as I do not see any sort of comments coming in right now, we will look to wrap. Just kidding. Just as I'm about to say that, one does come in. The Unbelievable Bros. Do you curse? Yes, but I don't do it in my videos. Real life only. As I think it should be, especially when it comes to these kind of videos. I'm not, what was it, Bob Menery? What was that like? It might have been even close to 8 years now where he kind of popped off. What was it, Vine? Man, that's a throwback. Hilarious, but not the style of content I am creating here. But appreciate the question. Definitely do in real life. Just according to the moment, you know? Everyone occasionally does. But yeah. Anyone? Jeff, welcome back here. I appreciate it that you don't. I watch your videos with my children in the room. Jeff, were you the one that commented on Cha-Cha VODs when we were considering ending that series, what, about a month or so ago, saying that you watched it with your little girls and that they love when I say Cha-Cha VODs? Because that is what the rest of my family also loves. They just love Cha-Cha VODs. It's a fun name, and that was really why I chose it. But yeah, so Cha-Cha VODs continuing. No, do not curse in my videos, sometimes in real life. Yeah, I think so far, first impressions here for Madden 26. Very offensive heavy. I'm sure some tuning and Mat 10 sliders. We will use Mat 10 sliders. I think actually someone commented on that earlier. Tyler. Yeah. Do you also use Mat 10 for Madden? Yeah. Mat 10 is the go-to. And if he doesn't update his sliders and like Mr. Hurricane is changing his, sometimes I'll play with it. Also depends a little bit on what I'm experiencing in the series. So the first couple episodes, I think it was, with the sliders for college football, we saw a lot of, what was it, holding calls just coming out of nowhere. We had a lot of holding calls in the Jaguars series. It just kind of became a joke of the series, so I didn't make that adjustment, but something that we definitely will do if we are clearly seeing something that's not very tuned and realistic, because that's what we look for here in this series is realism. Then yeah, we'll make some adjustments. But Mat 10 sliders through and through. Anyone else have any last questions here? I know we're on a little bit of delay, so I'll try to cover the gap here. And by looking to cover the gap, how about we go to the adjust lineup screen, just in case anyone has any last questions when it comes to the roster and things we want to do. I will cover one thing, obviously, when it comes to the offense. This interior of the offensive line is going to have to see a major overhaul. We are probably also going to have to look for a new right tackle. Thomas, he might be here for the whole remainder of this series if we can afford to hold on to him. Tight end, we could see something new there. When it comes to the receivers, we have Neighbors. I'm hoping Hyatt can turn into something, but where he is age-wise with the overall, not sure. We're going to see a lot of, I think, Tracy and Scattaboo, and that might force a earlier trade to get some run defender or run blockers down the middle here so that they can run just a little bit more. As for the defensive side, we'll jump over there. Obviously, you have potentially the best defensive tackle in the league right now, and possibly for the last 5 or so years. Aaron Donald, who knows, maybe a little bit better there than Sexy Dexy. I don't want to start any fights in the comments section, but really good player there. We are deep when it comes to edge rushers in terms of the fact we have Carter, we have Burns, and we have Thibodeau. Outside of Bobby Okereke, I can't say we necessarily have linebackers. We obviously saw Belton play some nickel linebacker for us this year, in this game. So who knows? Maybe that is just going to be his spot. He doesn't necessarily have great coverage. Block shedding isn't that good either, but he seemed to play pretty decent at it. So who knows? We'll give some guys opportunity where maybe they wouldn't necessarily have it based on their ratings, but if they play well, they play well. But that looks like the last bit of the questions that have rolled in. So we will call it here for today. We will be back tomorrow. And again, we'll probably we'll get through the Jets in the MetLife battle, basically. We'll get through that game. We might also jump as well into the Patriots preseason games just to help round out, take a little bit of some more looks at these guys, get a better look here at Madden 26, and then we will kickstart the series on Tuesday. So make sure you are here for it. Hit the bear icon in the bottom right. If you're not subbed, it's the easiest way to get to the sub is just to hit that bear icon. It's completely free to sub if you did not know that. I know some people think you have to pay. Sub, no. Members, yes, and I don't even have members set up on this channel. So no worries about paying anything. And if you enjoyed this live stream and are excited to start a series here with the Giants, leave the video a like on your way out as well. Really looking forward to what we got going here in a new series and seeing if Coach Barry Bearington can continue that Stanford success into major leagues and see how well we can do restructuring a team that at one point was one of arguably an America's team. I know that's one of their rivals, but very much was so. Can we get back to that point? That is what we're going to look to do in this series. We'll see you tomorrow for the rest of the playoff. I wish we were there yet. Rest of the preseason games. And then we will get started next week. It looks like we have the Commanders week 1. So that'll be pretty fun. Jeff, good night. We'll see you later, my man. Maybe even tomorrow. We'll see you guys later.